Welcome to the CPM Customer Success Podcast, where we help Office of Finance executives deploy OneStream to transform their financial systems and processes so they can improve their corporate performance without late nights and weekends in the office. I'm your host, Andy Smetana, CRO at Nova Advisory. Nova Advisory is a 100% OneStream professional implementation partner. We help OneStream customers get the most out of their OneStream investments. We're mixing things up this week. We're introducing a manufacturing-focused spotlight for Office of Finance executives. We talk with a current and multiple-time customer, Chad Pisha, Chief Accounting Officer from IPS Corporation, Greg Hertling, Nova Advisory Partner, and Dave Callens, OneStream's Director of Consulting and Global Alliances at OneStream. So if you manage a business which produces goods, are challenged by today's supply chain disruptions and pricing pressures. If you're curious about how OneStream can help with these topics, like customer and product profitability modeling, you'll want to pay close attention to this two-part series focused on how OneStream can provide information to improve the performance of your manufacturing business. Let's get started with this episode. We are here today to talk about the challenges and opportunities for today's manufacturing finance operations. We're very excited to describe how OneStream's intelligent finance platform empowers predictive manufacturing finance. We'll be describing for you why we're confident OneStream is the CPM vendor you're going to want to partner with. And we'll also describe why OneStream is the best solution to meet the needs of manufacturing finance today. I'm also very excited to have several guest speakers with me today. I'll start with Greg, if you'd introduce yourself. Greg Hertling is a partner at Nova Advisory.
Hi, everyone. I'm Greg, partner at Nova Advisory. I've got about 20 years of industry experience from cost accounting all the way to director of FP&A. And I've been doing OneStream for about 4 or 5 years now.
Excellent. Thanks, Greg. Chad Pisha comes from IPS Corporation, the Chief Accounting Officer there. Chad, would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Andy. So, my name is Chad Pisha. I have 20-some years in the industry, from accounting to finance to divisional CFO roles. So I've been on a lot of different sides of the accounting world and been utilizing OneStream for the last 5 years. So thanks.
So collectively, this team brings 75 plus years of CPM experience. Nova Advisory is solely focused on OneStream, as I mentioned a moment ago. We believe and know that it is the CPM solution of choice. We've helped many customers, just like yourself, manufacturing finance operations and organizations all over the world. And we'll be sharing examples throughout this presentation of how you can benefit from OneStream solutions. So who are some of the customers that have partnered with OneStream and Nova Advisory? Who has Nova Advisory implemented OneStream for? So as you can see from the slide, we've got manufacturing companies, really who's who globally, companies that have decided to partner with OneStream and Nova Advisory. They operate businesses all over the world, Americas, EMEA, Asia Pacific. They range anywhere up to $10 billion plus in annual revenue. These include privately held companies, PE-backed companies, and publicly held companies with statutory reporting requirements, all handled through OneStream. Nova Advisory provides advisory services. We guide our clients through their OneStream journey. We start where it makes sense for each client to start. We'll explain more about what that means as we talk about the OneStream platform here in this presentation. Nova Advisory delivers 100% customer and client success. We stick around, we support our clients as their business evolves, and we expand their solutions on the OneStream platform. So I'm going to turn it over to Greg to talk a bit about some of the challenges we see our clients and hear our clients describe for us in the changing landscape of manufacturing finance. So Greg, over to you.
All right, thanks, Andy. So Nova Advisory is seeing a few themes that keep repeating from our manufacturing clients: supply chain disruptions, labor costs, pricing pressures. So from a supply chain perspective, a few issues: raw material sourcing has come up quite a bit. Rising shipping costs. This could possibly be related to recently announced new regulations on the trucking industry, changes in supply chain due to companies' ESG goals, of course, FX rate fluctuations, and we're seeing some shifts to build products onshore or reshoring is an action some companies are taking to simplify their supply chains and reduce risk. Of course, there's also some one-time disruptions, like we're seeing with the Key Bridge collapse in Baltimore, that again is impacting some supply chains. So clients are really looking for solutions to analyze and plan for these issues through maybe their S&OP processes, budgets, strategic plans. They're also looking for more data more frequently to help them identify issues earlier on in the process and to be able to put short-term plans in place without having to wait for monthly reporting. These are all tools that OneStream has to support finance organizations, and I believe we'll be looking at some S&OP planning a little later in the presentation. Labor costs are another issue that's come up a lot lately. Labor shortages, rising labor cost, also challenges we're seeing come up frequently. OneStream does have a people planning module that provides a solution to analyze and plan for these. With this tool, finance organizations can really plan both salary and wage-related expenses within OneStream. They can use this tool to ensure they're matching labor to their capacity plans and run what-if scenarios to understand a wide range of possible outcomes. Pricing and product profitability is a third theme we're seeing quite a bit with clients. Challenges possibly around China's excess manufacturing capacity, putting pressure on sales prices and squeezing margins. We're just getting visibility on profitability of the same products, maybe sold in different regions, produced at different manufacturing locations, all to support some strategic decision making. It could also be modeling new product introductions and how they're going to impact the overall plan. Again, later in the presentation, we'll show some examples of how OneStream can help with these challenges as well. But it's really not just about producing more data. It's also being able to distill the information down to decision points for executives. The questions we should be asking are, should we take action? Or does this align with our strategic objectives? OneStream's vast visualization tools can really help answer these questions. That's where the power of the platform really shines, being able to go from a very deep analysis to a decision point, all within the same tool. At Nova Advisory, we've helped clients solve a wide range of challenges while partnering with them to complete their digital finance transformation.
And then, Greg, I would add too, just from using this tool, I mean, it's the data that we need, but it's more the timeliness of the data too, right? Doing this manually and trying to do this often and consistent, it's very hard. So with this tool, what I've seen anyway, is that you get better information faster and sooner and more accurate and on a consistent basis. So I think that's key to a lot of these solutions here.
Yeah, I totally agree, Chad. And with things changing so much faster these days, having that information, like you said, quicker, earlier on in the process is extremely important and valuable to organizations. Andy, I think I'll kick it back over to you to talk about the platform.
Great. Thanks, Greg. The manufacturing finance is at an inflection point. So let me ask, if you could provide insights into your financial and operational performance before you close the books, whether that's monthly, quarterly, or annually, would you want to and why? Now, it's a bit of a rhetorical question we ask our clients as we plan out their OneStream journey. And we hear answers like, yes, of course, this would help us become more strategic, proactive, and better business partners as a finance organization. Finance teams are responsible for creating the book of record. They close and consolidate, usually on a monthly basis. That's looking backwards, what has happened. The OneStream platform does this, and it's best in class for this capability. Now, finance teams are also responsible for looking forward. So what's coming next? What are the business opportunities? How do we address some of those challenges that Greg just walked through? They provide the plans and budgets to get there. That's table stakes for a CPM solution, and OneStream's best in breed for planning capability as well. OneStream is a single unified platform. Users don't need to log into multiple applications to get their planning work done. So some examples of forward-looking solutions available to download on the OneStream platform are the people planning solution that Greg mentioned. There's also capital planning solutions and sensible machine learning solutions, all available for download, configuration, and deployment rapidly within the OneStream platform. So the question I'll ask is, who's helping you in your role for today? OneStream can do this as well, and they call this operational analytics. Operational analytics gives finance teams the information to proactively drive their performance with daily and weekly financial signals. So some examples for manufacturing finance professionals may include controlling costs or analyzing working capital metrics. Those allow for midstream actions before a month end is complete. Now, Gartner says that only 13% of businesses have this type of information available to them. OneStream's operational analytics capability provides the ability for manufacturing finance teams to make decisions based upon these financial and operational data. So let me provide an example of a GPS. OneStream wants to be your GPS for manufacturing finance. So I personally use Waze as my GPS when I'm getting around town. Waze has got a GPS capability. It tells me where I'm at in my commute. It'll tell me if there's going to be heavy traffic on my normal route. It'll tell me whether I'm going to make my appointments on time. It'll actually reroute me in the moment if it sees that there's something impeding my journey of where I want to go. And that is what operational analytics can do for finance teams of OneStream's customers. So let's shift gears now to how manufacturing finance executives can use OneStream operational analytics in their business. So I'm going to invite Chad and Greg into the conversation. We're going to have a Q&A and kind of talk about some of the insights of how they've implemented OneStream for manufacturing finance, both on the customer side and on the consulting side of the projects. So Chad, I'll kick the first question over to you. So why is customer and product profitability analysis an important area for your business?
Yeah, that's a great question, Andy. I mean, there's a lot to that question, but I mean, it just as simple as it could be. I mean, you want to understand your profitability for sure from a customer product, but from a customer perspective, right? I mean, you want to maintain that edge. You want to understand what your customers are looking at, what they're doing, what they're spending their money on. So from an analysis like this, you can kind of see their trends and patterns in their buying and understand where we're profitable at. I mean, we want to maintain our market share, right? We don't want to give it up, especially in a commodity driven market, right? So they're going to look for that best possible price. And you really want to understand how your price points are and what it's cost to actually make that product, where you want to keep your margins. I mean, I think there's a lot to that question, Andy. I mean, there's a lot of just to understand how you want to allocate your resources, right? So through profitability and from a product and customer, you can understand, okay, well, what are my most profitable products? Who are my most profitable customers? You really want to attend to those and understand and make sure that continues that way. From a cost control, right? You really understand, like, okay, well, we can look at geographic from plant by plant to really understand our costs and what's driving those products and what cost inputs on there. So we can really drive that to ensure our margins maintain or be able to pass that to the customer. From just a customer retention perspective, as I mentioned before, you really want to make sure that you're priced right, you're priced competitively, but at the same time, we're all in this for the business piece of it and making money. We want to make sure we're making money as well. But just overall, to me, it's just from looking at it from a business perspective on this side of things. It's really, I want to make sure our customers are happy. We're happy. We want to make sure we understand where we're making money, where we're not. How do we move unprofitable products out? Does this help us actually produce different types of products based on our customer spending and listening to them and understanding how profitable you are? So that there's a lot of things to this, and it's really important to have that information. I think the key to this is actually having that information and be able to action on it.
So, Chad, one of the things I've seen as well is just really getting visibility. When you've got maybe multiple manufacturing locations, in some cases, making the same product, getting visibility to the profitability of each of those manufacturing locations is key. And part of that is understanding how costs are being allocated. A lot of cases, you're using different ERP systems across those different manufacturing locations. So being able to look at a product on an apples to apples basis in order to make a true product profitability decision is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's very key. I mean, if you have multiple plants around the world or multiple plants in one region with different ERPs, it's really hard to understand really what the profitability is and what's actually driving that profitability or lack thereof.
So, Chad, you mentioned some of the challenges you dealt with and really understanding and diving into which customers are most profitable, which products are they purchasing. Maybe you could relate some of the challenges you've seen in your business and how you've used OneStream to address those areas.
Yep, no, that's a great question too. I think Greg stole a little bit of it, but from just a visibility standpoint, which was key for us, right? So before we had put the solution of OneStream in, we tried to do this manually. So there's a lot of things that happen when you do this manually. Just from a time and resource perspective, this took a lot of time and effort, and it's never in time, right? So you kind of get to a point where you can get to, and you just got to cut that analysis off, and it's the best information you have, and most of the time it's too late. And then within the analysis that we did see, it was always subjective, right? So there was a lot of different thoughts and different ways of doing this. So we needed a consistent way. To Greg was mentioning, if we have different plants around the world with different cost structures, different ways of looking at inventory, different ways of building it up, different ways of gross profit in each location. We want to make sure that we're looking apples to apples and we didn't have all that subjectivity in there. And then when it comes down to cost allocation too, right? When we have different people doing this around the world, how to allocate costs across, especially if we want to get down to EBITDA or even OpEx operating margin for some of your products. It was a little bit more difficult to understand how each individual person was doing that. So we wanted to make sure that was consistent. So we're looking apples to apples. And the other thing too was just the accuracy of data and the availability of it too. We had a hard time sometimes getting that information out of the system on a repeatable basis, right? So if we needed ad hoc analysis, or we needed something out of a plant or a location, sometimes that information wasn't available or wasn't the same as previously, because that individual took information, just took it out of the system differently than they did before, right? So there was a lot of challenges that led us to using OneStream, because it was just the lack of consistency, the lack of just resources internally, honestly, took a lot of time. And just the way we allocated costs was inconsistent. So that really led us to looking for a solution that we could bring all that together to have that more repeatable and consistent in the future.
Maybe Greg or Chad, just any further examples of that customer product profitability analysis you've seen done within OneStream for any of your experience? Chad, you've got multiple experiences implementing OneStream, or Greg, your customers.
Yeah, I could start with this too. I mean, I think from an example perspective, right? Starting out just simple, like we wanted just to understand our profitability by products, but then it really came down to looking at different locations. So we would look at them geography from a regional standpoint or location standpoint, or even plant over plant, to understand just from the profitability of just making a product, what it costs us to make that, and why different areas of the world or different areas of the US were different. We had different profitability in the same products, right? So it enabled us to get into the cost structure and understand where to pinpoint some of our efforts, to understand why is one plant more efficient than the other, right? That really helped us. From a channel perspective, right, too. So we have different outlets of our business, right? We have e-commerce, we have retail, we have direct sales, we have wholesale. So that helped us understand, where are we profitable at? What products are profitable, where, and why are some more profitable than others? But that would enable us to pivot sometimes on where we want to sell, since we only have so much capacity. We can look at seasonal and trend analysis too. So we did a lot of that, looking at that as well from a perspective in the business that we're in today. There's seasonal with, especially within the construction industry, right? There's a lot of seasonal and trends that how our customers behave and how they buy. So that really helped us understand, even getting down into planning from a perspective of how much material should we buy, when should we buy them, right? So it really drove us down into many different areas of the business to really help understand and help predict some of our buying patterns, as well as what products should we or should we not be in at this point.
And OneStream offers a solution exchange. And what that is a number of solutions are available to download and configure and quickly deploy within the OneStream platform. So I'm kind of curious, there's two solutions, the people planning and capital planning, that I really want to focus on. There's probably 50 plus solutions out of the solution exchange now. But maybe you could talk about how we could use a people planning or a capital planning solution to analyze by those different metrics you mentioned, Chad, by location, by market, by plant, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. We can start with capital planning, right? I mean, everybody wants everything, and everybody's ROI is looks great on paper. But when you have multiple areas, when you're a global business, you really need to, you get a lot of inundated, especially in the planning and forecasting cycle and the budgeting cycle. You get inundated by a lot of requests, and what really helped here, this was the start of it, right? Is really just using this type of tool really helped us prioritize and evaluate potential investments, and how do we allocate these now, right? So we got all this, so we can really look at this from a global perspective to understand how these things are bucketed. Are they compliance issues? Are they growth initiatives or strategic initiatives? So it helped us understand, and from a capital planning perspective, put all this information together and analyze and really allocate the funds that we had to allocate for capital expenditures for that year. Right. And then as time went on, this tool is great to really monitor actual versus plan. I mean, I know a lot of times you issue capital and then it kind of goes to the wayside. You're not really paying attention to exactly what the spend is. This tool allows us to monitor that. And I think the most important thing is at the end of this too, is really to monitor the performance of really what they said their ROI was going to be on that planned project, to see if they really hit what they said they would hit. I think it always starts out simple, just to understand of how to allocate, but then what we're doing and why we're doing it, and really have that end all, that did they really hit that ROI of what they said to do.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks so much, Chad. Appreciate
Yep.
your insights. Thanks for listening to the CPM Customer Success Podcast. I loved listening to Chad Pisha speak about how he's using OneStream to improve his company's financial performance. And if you enjoyed this as much as I did, please be sure to subscribe or follow so future episodes are automatically downloaded directly to your device. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next week for part 2 in this manufacturing series on another episode of the CPM Customer Success Podcast.